We're gonna make this sign: wake up, drink coffee, and punch today in the face, which is I found it on this inspirational business card that comes with our coffee. I literally make them, not literally make them all the time, but I make them quite often. So I don't know if you can see this in the video or not, but whoever clamped this material down didn't do a very good job. I'll try to put a picture of it right here, even though I don't know how to do that. Can't be that hard. There's some profanity in there that I covered up with a piece of tape because I don't know if this is a family show or not. While technically thought up when I was in the truck, I don't know if I was talking to thin air. I didn't press record. I don't know. We're gonna do it without a commute. And I'm actually kind of excited about this. I'm calling it the simplest sign. Here's one. I make these all the time. The process is really simple. So the idea is you engrave whatever you want to engrave, and then you brush it off or blow it off with compressed air or whatever, get all the dust off of it, maybe even wipe it down, and then you paint it. I usually spray paint it because that's easy. But if you're into using brushes, you can do that too. You just paint it sort of willy-nilly over the top. And then you let the paint dry. And it's super important to let the paint dry. If you don't let the paint dry, this doesn't really work that well. And then come back with a sander. You can do it by hand. I use an orbital sander. And you just sand the whole face. Sand it off. And then the paint stays in the low spots, and you get the clean material on the surface because you've sanded off all the paint. So the only real thing to talk about is what kind of end mill to use. So this, if I can find the camera, is a 16th inch end mill. This is a 1/4 inch end mill. And this little guy is a 32nd inch end mill, if I could get it to focus, maybe. And this is a V cutter. So I usually use V cutters. The idea is that you need an end mill that's small enough to fit inside of the features, because we want to cut out the inside of these letters. So a 16th inch end mill is actually just a little bit too big. It wouldn't fit in there, so that won't work. The next size down is a 32nd, and the cutting diameter on these is a 32nd of an inch, and the length of cut, you know, like where the actual flutes are, maybe if I could get it to focus, close enough, isn't very deep, or aren't very long, excuse me, which means that you can't really cut that deep into the material. Plus this would take a long time. So I use a V cutter, and these are super great because you can cut really, really tiny features with them, or you can cut really wide features, and you don't have to change bits to do it. The only thing to watch out for with a V cutter is basically this cutter tries to touch both lines of your feature and then hollow out between them. So if your feature is really wide, the V cutter has to go deeper if it's going to touch both sides. So you have to be kind of careful about that with thin material. But for the most part, these work great for signs. So I have this done in Carbide Create already. I'm going to export the G-code and get the machine set up, and then run this job. And then we'll paint it, and I'll come back tomorrow after the paint is dried, and sand it off and show you what it looks like. So let's get going. All right, so that's it. We got the part cut and spray painted willy-nilly, just like I said. So we're gonna let this dry and then come back, hit it with the sander, see what it looks like. All right, we're back. It's been about 12 hours, so I'm sure that this is dry. It is. We are going to sand this off, and then we'll take it over and blow all the dust off with a compressor, and then see how it looks. For anybody keeping score at home, I'm using 120 grit sandpaper. All right, so we're pretty much done with this project. Here's the finish sign. And you can spend more time sanding the face of this. I actually like to keep a little bit of the paint in the grain. It gives it sort of a weathered look. You can tell there's some problems. If you look really close, these letters in the middle are thicker than the letters on the edges because of when I clamped the material down, it was bowed. It had sort of curved like this from clamping it on the edges. So the center was higher, which meant that the V-cutter cut deeper. But all in all, it's a good looking sign. I'm gonna make a couple more of these and hang them up on the wall. It would help if I had the right size cutter in. It would help if I had the right size collet. Because I changed the cutter, I have to retouch off the material.